My name is Jerry Raphael. My date of birth is January 24, 1943. I was named after a relative of my father's. Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Hyman and Annie Raphael are my parents' names. My father grew up in Poland, and my mother grew up in Russia. They met in Montreal at a school to learn English. My oldest brother's name was Bert, my second oldest brother was Bob, and my baby brother was Stan. Okay, I started out going to a school in Hamilton, Ontario called Stinson for kindergarten and first grade. Second grade to eighth grade, I went to Adelaide Hoodless Secondary School. College, I went to the University of Waterloo, and then law school at the University of San Fernando Valley College of Law. Playing basketball. I didn't find school difficult. I enjoyed it. I really did. Two, Marv Michaels and Howard Katz. We hang out at the Jewish Community Center in Hamilton and played basketball 5 nights a week. Definitely changed because I moved to California. Usually they were hand-me-downs from my brothers. Jeans and sweatshirts, you know. Johnny Mathis, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Didn't go to the movies much, but the first movie I went to see was called Peyton Place. I borrowed my brother's college jacket because you had to be 18 to go in. I was like 16 at the time. Mostly basketball, and I do a little gardening, not now, but I used to. Elaine Emmy was Feldman, now it's Raphael. Oh, she was born in Brooklyn, New York, October 15, 1945. We met in June of 1964. She was visiting from California to Hamilton, Ontario, and I went into a restaurant one night, and her cousin introduced me to her, and good connection there. And we went out the next day to Buffalo, New York, because you only had to be 18 to drink there. In Ontario, you had to be 21. Your first date, we went to Buffalo, New York. Got married here in October 15, 1964 at the Valley Jewish Community Center on Laurel Canyon Boulevard. Early marriage? I guess the honeymoon was the best thing. We keep our romance alive by listening to each other and telling each other we love each other all the time, you know. They were all born here in California at Kaiser Hospital on Woodman Avenue. The oldest son is Lee, he's now 51. Then our daughter Lynn is 49. Our daughter Jennifer is 47. Well, we stayed home a lot more, couldn't go out. If we wanted to go out, we'd have to arrange for a babysitter. But mostly we stayed home and played with the kids. I guess our favorite holiday memory would be going to San Diego, staying at the Bahia. I'd bring my boat down there and we'd just go around the bay and just have fun and fish. From my parents, I learned to be very respectful of my kids, listen to them, and when they were troubled, I'd try and counsel them as best I could. My parents were very religious, and I have to admit I'm not that religious, and they would go to temple all the time. I go to temple on high holidays. To be respectful of their kids, and I have 5 grandchildren, and I hope that so far they've raised them very well. As far as my grandchildren, I don't remember all the dates, but the oldest one is Sarah. She's 18. Then there's Layla. She's 16. Then there's Barry. She's a girl, 14. And Deacon, he's 10. And Margot is 2.5. Well, they come over, and then when you get tired of them, they go home. I always wanted to be a lawyer because my oldest brother was a lawyer, and I figured I'd do the same. My first job was at a grocery store around the corner from us in Hamilton, Ontario, and I used to deliver the groceries. In Hamilton, I worked at that grocery store, then I worked at a dairy, and then in college, I worked as a chauffeur driving people to Toronto Airport. And then here I worked at a personnel agency, and then at a dairy, and then at a company called Walled Sound that used to make speakers. And then I became an attorney and worked at Farmers Insurance as their house counsel. And then after 2 years, I went on my own and worked with another attorney. Working at the dairy, we'd load the trucks, and then I'd go home and not have to worry about what happened with the milk after that. I don't think I changed anything. I very much enjoyed being an attorney. First, I did defense work, as I said, for Farmers Insurance, and then I did personal injury and malpractice work. As I said, I enjoyed being an attorney, had some very good cases, and what else can I say? I enjoyed it very much. Well, the first thing I recall is when the Rodney King riots. At that time, I was working at Golden Cream Dairy, and I tried to call home and tell my wife I had to stay there because they wouldn't let us out. And we had just gotten a new phone, and we had an unlisted phone number, and I couldn't reach her. So I called the operator and told her it's an emergency. I had to talk to my wife, and she said, well, I'll call her and see if she wants to talk to you. And she finally got on the phone, and I told her I have to stay over at the dairy, and I had to stay there for 2 nights. Well, besides my wife, my 3 children, and 5 grandchildren, I'd say that's the most significant people I've met. After I finished college in Canada, I was offered a scholarship to go to Kalamazoo, Michigan, the University of Western Michigan. But I decided I'm going to go to law school, so I enrolled at Osgoode Hall in Toronto. And then I met Emmy, and I came down here to get engaged, and it was just one of those gorgeous days, and I said, I'm not going back, so I applied for law school here. Well, to get married and have children, that was on my bucket list, and I've accomplished that, and had a successful career in law, and I'm just very content now with being retired. The one big regret is, I shouldn't say it's a regret, I came to California and stayed here and didn't go to law school in Canada to become an attorney with my brother. But things turned out fine. Having 3 wonderful children, I think that's the best thing in life. Being content with your family and where you are in life and not having too many financial worries. As a good father, a good husband, that would make me content. As I said before, coming to California was a big decision in my life because I'd always planned to be a lawyer with my brother, and Emmy took me away and brought me here. Big disappointments. I can't really think of any other than the fact that I didn't remain in Canada and work with my brother. Wow, that's a difficult question. My parents always said that family comes first, and I believe that now.